Well, today we're talking about analysis. I think for most of us, we analyze everything, right? As teachers, we just want to analyze everything. But today we're talking about how to make it easy for your students to analyze music and how we're really going to engage in gamification to make it fun for students and easy for them to be a detective when they're doing analysis in music. I'm Gloria St. Germain, and welcome to the Ultimate Music Theory Teaching Tuesday. And when we dive into looking at analysis, I want to share a few quick resources with you that maybe will help your students get excited about analysis. So I'm going to share my screen. Today, what I'm sharing with you is one of our analysis pieces. Now, what's coming up next is, as far as we're in October right now, and of course we've got, our little pumpkin patches, and we're all about, the seasonal harvest, and Halloween's just around the corner. So this is a piece written by Joanne Barker. It's called 5 Little Pumpkins. So when students sometimes look at a piece of music, it can be a little overwhelming. They're like, oh my goodness, where do I start? What should I do? So the first thing we want to do is just simplify it, just break it down, just make it a little bit easier for them, right? So inside the Ultimate Music Theory Teachers Membership, if you go to teachumt.com, you'll get all of these resources. They're included in your membership. And one of them is this little pumpkin patch. But wait, there's more. Before we start to do analysis in this, I want to share with you what's going to be happening for your students. So I'm going to click over here to our little pumpkin patch game. So before we get into doing the analysis, we're just going to go and collect a few little pumpkins. So help Sola, she's sitting inside the wheelbarrow, and Tito by naming the notes on the pumpkin patch. So it's just a little game we're going to play. So are you ready to play with me? Okay, great. So the first question is, name the note. So of course, now we're looking at a ledger line, right? So we need to identify simply middle C, D, E, and we're just going to be stepping up in the little pumpkin patch. So of course, the answer is bass clef E. And the reason it's in the bass clef, of course, is because there was a ledger line, right? And so often I love to use the Ultimate Music Theory whiteboards with my students because it just is engaging and it's fun for them as well. So let's do another one. So now we see a ledger line, and this time it's above the treble staff. So we know that when we're talking about FACEGBD, right, we kind of want to file up the little staff notes. So FACEGB. Oh, so that must be B sharp. And you might need to do a little analysis. What's another name for B sharp? If you look on the keyboard, the other name for B sharp would be C, right? So already we're starting to do a little bit of the analysis. Now, sometimes when you're thinking about what are you going to do for Halloween, oftentimes we think about treats, right? We're going to be having treats that we might be giving away to our students, but sometimes we want to think about other options, because if you're teaching online, or if you have students that have food allergies, or maybe parents are just like, too many sweets, and something that's really meaningful and they'd love is a little present that we've included that you can give to your students inside the Teach UMT Ultimate Music Theory Teachers Membership. So I'm going to share it with you right now. Students love this gift. And it kind of ties into what we're talking about today. It's gamification, it's understanding music theory, and it's also the element of analysis and learning through play. So here's what it is. As we're going into, and I shared with you, let me come back here to share with you. So as I was sharing with you the 5 little pumpkins, we're just going to back this out a little bit so you can see what it's all about. So as you're going through this activity with your students, it's actually a little present that you can send them. On page 1 is Happy Halloween. This is a card, right? You can either email it to them, which doesn't cost you anything, or if you'd like, you can print it off and download it and hand out to your students when they come into class. So this is your Happy Halloween. I'll back it up one more time. So this is a little card, and it has 2 really cool things. First, it's a card, so you can obviously Happy Halloween, write your student's name on here. 2, on the back cover, you can see that there's a little game that your students can play. Roll a dice and move that number of pumpkins, name the pattern. Same line, same space, step up, step down, skip up, skip down. Now, you might say, well, that's great, Glory, but my students are a little more advanced. But inside the teacher's membership, you are getting levels for everyone. So prep 1, prep 2, basic, intermediate, and advanced. So no matter what level you're teaching, you can still engage them in gamification. You can still give them a little happy Halloween card, and they still have a game to play. But wait, there's more. Also, you're going to be doing analysis. So last week I was talking about gamification, and I showed you this little game that you can play with your students, but it's also, you can do that as a separate gamification program when you're teaching your music theory club class or even one-on-one. And now it's also in their card. So they now have a little piece of music to play. And this little one is called 5 Little Pumpkins. So let's take a look at the analysis on this page. At the top of the analysis, it says, analyze the following piece of music by answering the questions. Name the key of the piece. How many times will you play skip up, line to line? How many times are sharps played in this piece? Explain the tempo of this piece and explain the dynamic marking of this piece. So before they even begin, you're going to go through this analysis as a little detective and work through all of these things. What's fun about this is when you're teaching voice, or even if you're not teaching voice, I highly recommend that you encourage students to sing this little, this little 5 Little Pumpkins piece, because when we see an interval of a third, and of course that's the first thing we see is A to C, a minor third, we want them to start to recognize pitch. Right? So we want to make sure that they can identify the pitch. How many times will you play skip up from a line to a line? Ooh, again, we have to be a detective. Is this a line to a line? Yes, it is, because it's a ledger line, but it still is a line to a line note, right? So that would be 1. So as you're going through this, I know your students are absolutely going to love it. And again, sometimes we don't want to give chocolate treats because there might be allergies, or if you're teaching online, you don't want to go through the expense of mailing, something or whatever it might be. So now you can give them a tool that they can learn. You can give them a tool that's fun, that they can sing, that they can play, and you can just email it to them. It doesn't cost you anything. Or if you want to, you can just go ahead and print it off and hand it out in your studio. Either way, it's a win-win, super fun. So a little shout out to Miss Joanne Barker to say thank you so much for creating all of these resources inside the teacher's membership for you. And again, it's a card, right? So it's 2-sided, you print it off and tickety-boo, you're done. Now, the other cool thing that we've created inside the teacher's membership is we wanted to make sure that you had access to resources for every single level. And one of the fun sheets that Sheila McKibben-Uren, she is the Ultimate Music Theory Certification Course Examiner as well. And Sheila has created fun sheets for every single level for every single month, and we got you covered. So if you are teaching a little more advanced students, you might say, well, what's in it for them? They want to have some fun too, Miss Glory. So I'm going to blow this up a little bit bigger so you can see it. So this is one of the fun sheets inside the program. And here you can see, we're talking about accidental rules. It can get complicated, but it can also be a lot of fun. Because when you're going to look at this exercise, make sure that you're reading the directions carefully. We're talking about treble and bass, double flats, flats, natural sharps, and double sharps. So we also want to make sure that we're thinking about, what does that sound like? So you may want to play that on your instrument. What does C sharp sound like? Well, if you play if you play E sharp, it also sounds like F, right? What about if you play E double flat? That also sounds like D, right? So you want to go through this exercise. The other thing is we got to learn some rules. So rule number 1 is that an accidental is canceled by another accidental. So that's what happened here, E sharp. And then we put in another accidental, so E double flat, right? And the second rule is it's canceled by a bar line. So because we see here there's no bar line, between the E double flat and this line. This is just ordinary E because it's in a different space. This one here is still E double flat, right? We can see it right here. So as you're going through these exercises, it's just a quick little review or a new concept. And so many times students come into class and maybe they forgot their book, or you just really need to review a concept such as accidentals. And these worksheets are there for you for every single level, obviously age appropriate. And here is name the notes. So, whoa, this could get tricky. And you might even put out a little challenge for Halloween and say, listen, here's the challenge. When you play this piece, I have a game for you. Okay, that's going to be your prize, right? So when you fill in all the notes and you play this on your instrument, or you could sing it if you want to, we will be having a little surprise inside of your gamification. And your games can be played online, or you can play them as a PDF, as a downloadable PDF. So I'm super excited to share all of this with you. One of the reasons that we created the Music Teachers Membership is that a couple of years ago, my studio, like many others, went from teaching in person to teaching online 100%. And I found that my students loved it, and so did I. And that's when my Ultimate Music Theory team got together and said, why don't we create a membership where teachers have all the resources that they need to teach music theory. We can have games, we can have downloadable worksheets, we can have music theory exams. And it's one of the things I'm passionate about, is helping you identify what level is your student at. So when you go into the membership, there is an assessment exam that you can use to sort of figure out, where is your student at? What do they know? What do they struggle with? Not only is the exam there, the answer pages are there for you, just so you don't have to take all the time to go through all of these by yourself. And there's a certificate as well. So you give your student their exam. If they're struggling with some of the concepts for perhaps the basic exam, then you say, you know what, we need to go into the Prep 2 Rudiments workbook. That's going to be where we're going to start, because these are some areas that maybe you need to work on. So let's go into the Prep 2 Rudiments. So an assessment exam determines their music theory level, right? So you have the exam, you have the answer pages, and you have their certificate. And who doesn't want to be recognized for their accomplishments, right? So I'm going to give you a little backstage look here at the Teach UMT, the Ultimate Music Theory Teachers Membership. So inside the Music Theory Teachers Membership, you're going to have everything that you need to get started to teach music theory. So here's a little video that a lot of our UMT teachers members have shared, exactly what they're experiencing inside the membership, how much they love it, what they've really learned from it and grown their business because they've learned how to teach music theory club classes, or just more fun when they're teaching music theory. I don't know about you, but for me, when I started teaching music theory, it was boring. I didn't like music theory. I didn't do well in my music theory exams, and I didn't even like teaching it. And it wasn't until I realized that without learning music theory, we can't accelerate at a really exponentially fast tempo, if you will, because we're held back because we don't understand concepts and all kinds of little things. So inside, you're going to discover 3 secrets. You're going to have the complete online library, where you can go and access all of these music theory teaching resources. You're going to get the Music Vault, where you can get all your perfectly prepared music theory lesson plans, your worksheets, everything that you need, and also your treasure chest of your music theory monthly games. These are priceless, and they're for every level, every month, new games. So we got you covered. I love teaching music theory. When I wrote the Ultimate Music Theory series, I really wanted to make sure that my students were learning and retaining the information. This is one of the keys. We've talked about this before inside our Teach Basic Rudiments online mini course. How can we help students learn faster? Are they visual, auditory, or kinesthetic learners? And these are really important when you want to be teaching, right? Inside the membership, you're going to learn theory techniques. You get to plan your success plan with your done for you lesson plans, your overview chart, your music theory planner, not only for teachers, but also for your students. And again, it's all included. All you have to do is email it to your student, or you can print it off and hand it to them. You're going to learn how to teach the UMT program with a proven step-by-step system, and you're going to grow your music teaching mastery. You know, I learn every day. I love learning. I'm passionate about, and I want to share those strategies with you. We also have a great bonus in the complete music theory course, which includes the workbook and the answer book and all the lessons inside. So I will be your teacher teaching you about music theory in the complete course. You'll get access to our exclusive teachers Facebook group. And if you want to connect with me on a deeper level, we are also doing live coaching calls every single week. That's included as bonus number 3. We are results focused, purpose driven, and we take a massive action plan in order to help you grow your music teaching business. And I'm really excited because I think one of the things that we learn as music educators is, how can we really grow? I think we get bored if we just do the same thing all the time without exploring professional development. And I invite you to explore this professional development. I also invite you, if you're watching on YouTube, to subscribe so you don't miss any of our teaching tips. We've got incredible resources for you on our YouTube channel. I also invite you to join our Ultimate Music Teachers Facebook group, where you can connect with like-minded educators, and also invite you to chat with us. You know, leave a little note in the bottom. You can just put in hashtag #TeachUMT and ask your questions, and I'll make sure to reply. So till next time, teach with passion and have fun. Don't forget to be playing games with your students, do the analysis on the questions, and above all, have fun, right? Happy Halloween coming up soon. Till next time, teach with passion. Bye now.